All right, joining us now. She's led Miami of Ohio to three NCAA tournament appearances, three MAC championships. They've won over 40 games each of the seasons, having another great season as we record this interview on top of the MAC conference. One of the best offenses in the country, and one of the best head coaches that you might not know, but you better know. She's been on the show before. I speak of my good friend Kirin Kumar joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, you're like the Rock in WWE. You haven't been on the show for a while, and all of a sudden you pop up, and you're all over the place. But
Yeah, it's a family feud, right? In a way.
yeah, exactly. But just first talk about how you feel about your team right now. You're as we record this, you're 26-6, undefeated in the MAC conference. Just on pace to shatter some offensive records, which we'll get to. But how do you feel about your team where it's at right now?
Oh, I feel great. I mean, the thing about our team is they like to have a lot of fun, and when they're loose and having fun, and I can see that with them. And so I'm in a good spot with them because of that. And they're never down on themselves, regardless where we're playing, who we're playing, and they're incredible humans. So we're in a very very good spot.
Certainly when is there any part of your team that has surprised you to this point?
I mean, I as like offense, defense,
In
everything.
general, yeah. Anything
Yeah,
that
I
surprised
mean, I think I'm always surprised by the offense because everyone always says, "Well, you such a great year, it's not going to happen again," and it we're doing even more than what we did the last 3 years. So I guess that's always a surprise, and the leadership of our team because every team has its own unique identity, and then this team, the leaders have been here for 4 years, and they have made this their own team, and so it's a little bit different than the others, and it's a lot of fun to see.
no doubt. Looking, of course, offensively, everybody talks about Karli Spaid, who has rewritten the Miami of Ohio record books, doing it again as we talk. Of course, she's got her tag team partner there in Jenna Golem. Brewski, talk about those two. What do people not know about those two that they need to know?
They feed off each other. They work their butt off. So it's like one of those things where no matter what happens in the game, they're still watching film, right? And so the thing about them, and then they are also very different players. Karli has to like she's always talking. You always hear her, and you're just gonna see Jenna like smile and talk to her teammates. You're not gonna hear her on the field. So they're two very different players, but they all have the same goal.
Jenna was the MAC Player of the Year. Karli was a All American a couple of years ago. Did you ever envision these two to be as great as they've been for your program?
No, I think I would be a genius if I said yes. No, I know how hard that or what they put into it. So you knew that there's something there, and you knew it was going something was going to happen. But to this scale, I can't say that. I don't think anybody can say that about any player. But because you got to see their personalities, you got to see their work ethic, you got to see what they're like with their teammates, and these two have all three. And when you see that and you see them put it together, this is what happens. And it's a joy to watch. It's a joy to coach. And I just kind of sit back and say that. So that's one thing. And then another thing, like they're awesome students. So they're doing it in the classroom and on the field. And they're amazing teammates. Everyone loves being around them. And that's not easy to, or that's kind of rare to say about people who kind of stand out like they do.
I'm just going to read the stats for those that are not aware. As we recorded this, we're recording this right after Miami just swept Buffalo in MAC conference play. You're 360 average on the season, 91 home runs on the season, which just boggles my mind. 745 is a team slugging percentage, 460 on base. We talked about Karli and Jenna, but they're not alone in this. You've got a lot of depth in your offense. Talk about the rest of your players that maybe are going under the radar.
Yeah, so I think one player that always goes under the radar is Allie Cummins, who's our leadoff. She has one of the best eyes in the nation. I think a couple years ago she had over 50 walks, and when she does that, like I mean, then you have people on base for Jenna and Karli. And right now Jenna's clearing the bases, so Karli has nobody on base. So she's someone that not only has a great eye, but has a great bat. She's a double-digit home run hitter every year. So we see that. And then you got Kate Kobayashi, who her sophomore year hit 12 home runs, and then last year only hit 2. And then this year is back up to 11, and we're halfway through the season. So she's one of the best center fielders that I've ever coached. I don't know if you saw the pick game. She makes diving catches, throwing people out, which again, Jenna also is throwing people out there. And we have 2 freshmen that have broken our lineup, which is pretty incredible. We have Sammy Bewick, who is from Pittsburgh, and she's 8 home runs and 30 RBIs. And then Hadley Parisian, who's hitting over 400 in the 9 hole. So when you have that up and down the lineup, it's hard to pitch around anybody, because you got Hadley, who's getting on base for Allie, Jenna, and Karli.
And the thing that was fascinating about your offense is there were some questions. Morgan Zirkle obviously was on your staff, now moved on, is the head coach at Marshall at her alma mater. And yet your offense hasn't missed a beat. You've added to your staff. Talk about your staff in that transition, because you've had good offenses, but this is taking it to a different level, and it's with someone new on board.
Yep. So, a lot of the things that I've done with the hitting was when I was at Virginia Tech, and obviously they're an amazing hitting team too. And then we make it our own here with, not having the technology and the funds that some other schools have. So you got to kind of tweak it. And we've kind of stuck with that program. So when I knew that for hitting, I didn't want to lose a beat. So I was going to go after someone who knew me, how I worked, who actually went through our hitting program and what we do. And she has Virginia Tech's home run record single season, our first year there. And then her personality. And I think her personality and mine work so well together, because she's calm, collective, and I'm the stress ball. So Caitlin Nolan, who was a starting shortstop at Virginia Tech in 2019, had 19 home runs, went through the same process that our student athletes are going through here. So she was able to not miss a beat, and not, I didn't have to take time to teach her how to do it. And the girls absolutely love her. Like, she is incredible in how she handles them. And this is her first coaching job. And so I knew that was going to be a transition, and she hasn't skipped a beat. I think that's one of the best things that we have done for our program.
Well, that's what I've noticed. People that don't know you that well, you give people their opportunity, their breaks in a lot of ways. Their first opportunity coaching. Courtney Viestro, who's your ace pitcher for such a long time, handles your pitching. Where does that come from, about being able to give somebody like Caitlin that first opportunity, giving Courtney that first? Is it because of the journey that you've had to travel to become is that where that comes from?
A little bit, because when I got my first coaching job, it was John Barfelt, and he had coached me at Georgia Tech. So, and then we did great things there. And I think sometimes you do have to just get your opportunity, get your foot in the door to show how great you are. And Caitlin Nolan had been looking into coaching, and she had applied to some positions, and I had been on her side to get it. And then when finally she made this comment to me, which I found really, really cool, is she said, I would come be a volunteer for your program to see what you do before being a 4th paid coach at a Power 5.
Wow.
And so when the opportunity happened where she could be a paid coach, like, I jumped on that, because that just shows me, like, she's willing to learn. She's willing to do that. And then with Courtney, she wanted to be a teacher. And so we kind of convinced her. We said, hey, like, coaching is teaching. And so she was kind of on the fence about it. I said, look, you already are better than half the pitching coaches in the country. You called your own game. You got better every year that you were here. And that's what you need to bring to our pitching staff. And the girls respect her. Yeah, she is coaching girls that she played with. And there's no break there. And that, seeing that as a coach and watching her play and the respect that they have, and then seeing her bring that to it, it's great to see, because I know they're going to do big things.
Let's talk about your pitching staff, because when you first got the start of the success at Miami, it was known because of the pitching, and Courtney Viestra obviously made a name for herself. Now it's kind of overshadowed because of the offense. It's kind of interesting, which shows how versatile you are. You can win in many different ways with pitching, with offense, etc. How do you feel about your pitching staff this year? You've had three pitchers that have carried the load for the most part in Madeline Reeves, Addie Jarvis, and Ashley Hitchcock. Talk about those three and what they bring as a staff.
They're all very, very different. They're so that makes us easy to bring in a matchup or bring in somebody behind each other. And we told them at the beginning of the year, like, we're gonna tag team this. All we want you to do is give our offense a chance to win. And that's what they've been doing, right? And so I mean, I don't want them to be perfect. I've told them that. I want them to work together, and we'll find a way to do that. And Maddie Reeves, a freshman, has kind of stepped up and shown what she can. And I think it was a learning process, right? Being a freshman and then learning things on and off the field, and watching her grow to see her do that with the experience that Addie and Ashley have from coming from other programs. So they're doing what we've asked them to do, and that's all we can do.
Let's talk a little bit about your schedule. I think it's obviously the turning point that where a lot of people started taking notice about your team was when you played in Norman, which is ironic because you had just played a very difficult tournament in Clemson where you had Old Miss and UConn in that tournament. You beat UConn, who's the defending Big East champions. But a lot of eyeballs were at your game because you were the first team to play Oklahoma at their new stadium in Love Field. And certainly a lot of people outside of your program, I don't think, anticipated what would transpire, which is you gave Oklahoma a run for their money. You had a lead in that game. Karli Spaid hits the first home run ever in that stadium. And that game went viral. There are a lot of people, they were talking. They were like, man, this Miami team is really good. I want to hear more about this team, etc. Take me through that weekend, because to me, that's when a lot of people started taking notice about your team this year. You would go on, even though you lost to Oklahoma, it was a nail-biter, 9-7 game, walk-off game. But you bounced back. You beat a good Louisiana team, which has been on a roll since. And you then ended up going to Tulsa, where you beat Seattle, you beat Kansas City, and you beat Tulsa, run-ruled them in their own park. So take me through that whole weekend, going from Norman, Oklahoma to Tulsa, and because a lot of people started to take notice on your team, this year's team.
Yeah, I think I was telling some people that the people were watching because of the stadium, right? Like, people tuned in to see what the palace of softball was going to be, and I'm going to say they did it right. 100%. That field is immaculate. That's going to be the standard, and I'm very grateful that our team was able to not only play there but be the first team ever. And so we got there, we went to their batting cages, which is the old one. We warmed up and we kind of drove by, and everyone saw the scoreboard, right? And that's kind of the standing point of that stadium, and you see it and you're like, whoa. So I knew our team was going to walk out and be either overwhelmed by this situation. There's going to be over 4,000 people there. It's going to be a beautiful day, or they're just going to have fun and just run with it. And I think at first it was very nerve-wracking for everybody. And I told them before the game, I want you to soak it in regardless of what happens. Because they came to Oxford last year and we got run ruled at home by them, which, okay. So, all right, I want you guys to soak it in, whatever happens. And I know this sounds funny, but I think the turning point was they had the winner of The Voice sing the national anthem. And then there was a flyby for the national anthem. And our team was like in awe. And I think Karli Spaid had tears in her eyes. And I think that moment kind of let them know, like, hey, we're on this stage for a reason. Let's go do this. And the one thing people were talking about is like, hey, Patty Gasso brought up who is going to be the first person to hit the home run. They're going to keep the ball. There's some things that you have to keep. And the team, I knew we were coming in with 30, we were averaging over 3 home runs a game. I said, well, they got to get out of the first inning to for that to happen. So that started, and then we got to the 7th inning. It was 7-3, and my reaction as a coach was like, you know what? We put on a good fight. We did it. We're getting our last bats right here. Let's see what happens. And you can see that team never quits. It does not matter who is on the mound. Doesn't matter who's up to bat. I mean, they genuinely care about each other. And you could see the joy when someone else does something. And that right there is like so awesome to see as a coach, and to see that moment captured on video. And then to show what we've been doing for 3 years. Because a lot of people are like, well, they don't have a good schedule. They don't do it against a good schedule. Well, I want to show them we do it against anybody. And so that Oklahoma weekend was a little bit of that. Then I don't know if you know, but the Miami University is named after the Miami tribe, which is now located in Miami, Oklahoma. So we made it a trip where we took the team to go see the tribe, and they got to meet the chief. They got to eat with them, learn about the history where they have their reservation and what they do there. And then we got to play in Tulsa, and they got to come watch. And obviously, I coached at Tulsa for 7 years, so it was a little bit of everything that weekend. And the girls didn't shy away from anything. And I think the biggest thing I'm proud of was after that moment at Oklahoma, we lost on a walk-off, yes, 9-7. Then we had to like be up here, and the girls said this, man, feels like 7 people are at this game. So we bussed from the old stadium Loves to their old stadium and to play UL. And I have to say, right away, the bats came out right away. And most teams, after you do that, will lose their next game. They didn't miss a beat, nothing about it. And UL went to Supers. They're an awesome team. And to do that on the same day, I'm super proud of them, because they did not let that game affect their next game.
On the same weekend when Louisiana would then follow up and beat Oklahoma after that. So it's not like you caught them at a unique, like you beat them there at a weekend where they would end up beating Oklahoma, which is a memorable tournament. That's a lot of great stuff there. Did Karli get the ball for the first home run? Did they give you a ball or anything, or no?
No, I emailed them, and I haven't heard back yet. They did. So we did leave our ball bag there. We couldn't find it from our first game to the second game, the one with softballs in it. And they did find it, and they shipped it to us. But I was hoping they put the ball in the box, but they didn't.
Give him the ball. Get him the ball. Jeez, man.
It's okay. I think Karli, she would like the ball. That's the reason I asked them, but I haven't heard a response, and I understand, but yeah, I have no idea where it is or what happened to it.
It reminds me, like, when I'm at a game and, like, if somebody hits a foul ball and that PA guy's like, you must bring back the ball. You cannot keep it. I'm like, oh boy. And then there's that, like, boo. I feel like we're going through this again. Like, what are we keeping the ball here? But listen,
I do think Holly's grandfather got her ball, and she hit the second home run ever.
Oh,
because it was hit in our stands and where our fans were. So I think they got that one. But yeah, if you do hear this, Patty, Karli would like the ball.
Make it. Yeah, come on. You got plenty of ball. Come on. What was so fascinating about that game? Did you all realize how viral that game went after the fact? Because there was a lot of people talking about the game, how exciting the game was. People were talking about the commentating, which we're not going to get into. But people generally were fascinated by your team. You made that. And, I remember I made the comment on the podcast that weekend. I think what happened there, that was the coronation of the stadium. And you decided to crash the party. And then, oh, by the way, there's a softball game. So you kind of opened some eyes there. Did you notice of that viral, how people were talking so positively about your team?
I didn't, because I'm not that big into social media, but I did because my assistants told me, the team talked about it, and I have had people who I haven't talked to in a while reach out to me because of that game. That means they're watching. Even people I'm not friends with, and I see them while we were playing, we're like, our entire team watched you guys on the bus. We were pulling for you, and I'm like, I don't even know you. But I'm glad we could do that for softball and for the mid majors, right? Like I don't 100% know why we were the first game there. I do know that the AD told somebody that when Oklahoma came to Oxford, we were very gracious hosts, and they loved their time there, and they wanted to repay the favor. So I appreciate that a lot. But no, I didn't know until, because my head, I was like, okay, we got to beat UL. We got to play UL. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, we won that game, so nobody's going to be talking about this game. And then you find out they are. And I'm very proud of our team because I've wanted that. I've wanted them to show what they have been doing, and I'm glad they did it. Like they're amazing humans, and to show them that they can play softball too, I'm overjoyed for them.
Well, again, and I want to emphasize for the audience that may not be aware, you had to play Louisiana right after that game. Right
Yep.
after Kinsey Hansen had hit the walk-off home run,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of teams would be devastated
Mm-hmm.
in that situation and maybe not have the emotion, not be able to get up for the next game and just have a rough day. But that didn't happen with your team. You beat Louisiana in a wild game,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that was a turning point in a lot of ways for your team, wasn't it? Like that. That's not something that you take for granted as a coach. Is how your team responded after a game like that by beating a talented Louisiana team.
Oh, I mean they're fantastic. Like they are the pinnacle of mid major, right? I think they've been to 5 World Series, they've been to supers, and a lot of us, that's what we want to do is what they've been doing. And so to go in and do that, yeah, that I mean that's I'm very proud of them because of the Oklahoma game, but it is even bigger what they did after 30 minutes after. And that just shows you their mindset and their ability to do things at all times. And I just, yeah, that I mean, I think that was the biggest thing because as a coach, you look at it, you're like, okay, you're going to play Oklahoma and Louisiana on the same day. Like, how do you do this? And because you're thinking about the best way for to put your student athletes in a best position to win, and that's what you're thinking about. And then they go and do that, and they make my life easy. I love it. I love it.
You mentioned obviously the trip and the education, which obviously was a great story. I'm glad you shared that while you're there in Oklahoma and Tulsa. You mentioned you were at Tulsa as an assistant under John Barfelt. What was it like to be back there and then beat them up pretty good? And I don't know if Coach Barfelt was there or he hit you up. I'm sure he followed it. But what was it like to be back at Tulsa there and playing there?
I mean, like I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, but I think in that moment when we were playing them, I it was a big deal. And I didn't realize like I was kind of like, whoa. And then that first inning was weird. And then I realized I was kind of projecting everything. And John was there. He was at the game. And so I got to see him before the game. And obviously Chrissy was there. So we were on the staff together for a long time, the three of us. And, I called him up maybe a month or two before. I said, March 3rd, you're going to be there, and I guess he put it on his calendar because I wanted to make sure he knows it because he's not on social media and anything like that. Because he's one of my biggest mentors, and Chrissy and I are really good friends. So to be able to do that, so I didn't think it was going to be weird, and it was. And the girls picked me up, and we did that. So yeah, it was, and now Tulsa's doing really great. So it's good to see.
Very good. So I mean, that's absolutely a resume. Was that the first time Barfeld seen you coach in person? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Wow. That had it.
yeah.
Did that make it a little
Well,
extra special, a little
I
extra
I
nervous for you?
I think so because so Chrissy, that's Tulsa, that's her first head job, and Miami's my first head job, and so he was there, and this is the first time. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it was. I didn't even think of that, but it was really cool. I'm very happy that he was able to make it, and his wife was there too. So
Got to call that like the Barfeld Bowl. Maybe we could do this in annual meeting. You in Tulsa,
yeah,
Coach Stripple. Though I
yeah.
don't know the way you beat them. Maybe they don't want to do that. But how
I'll
weird
try
it?
to get them to Oxford.
There you go. There you go. Home and home. Is it weird for you that he's not coaching?
A little bit, but I think he's extremely happy. I think he loves retirement. They live on the lake now, and I think he's living his life on a golf course. So it is weird to me, but I also know that he's a phone call away for me. So that part is always going to be there. But I mean, he's one of the best pitching coaches ever in Division 1 softball. So, yeah, I'm proud of what he's done.
What's the biggest thing you've taken from him that you've applied to you as a head coach?
Oh, just one thing?
Or you can you can say as many things you want. You can cheat. That's okay.
Uh, Something I'm still learning is he's very, very even keeled about everything. And I think that's something every coach should learn. I'm working on it. Not always even keeled. I think I get a warning every game. Um, I don't know if he's ever gotten a warning. And he always asks questions to make sure, like he always said, like you make each player better, no matter what it is, a little bit, a lot. And I've taken, that's one of my biggest things, is that I never give up on a kid, on a young lady, no matter what it is. And I think that's the biggest thing he did when he was at Tulsa, was he took every single player that was there and made them the best version of them. And that's what I want to do, and I hope I'm continuing to do that.
That's tremendous. Story there. You went on beat Louisville this year. That's one of the other marquee wins. You've played teams like Georgia. Obviously, you're now in conference deal. What are going to be some of the keys here moving forward for your team that you feel that, hey, we need to be better in this area, or this is going to be a key factor in the rest of the season in determining where our season goes?
Key factor will be pitching and defense. A little bit is, I think we've made some errors here and there that puts our pitchers in a bad situation, and we clean it up. And when we do that, we're gonna out hit a lot of people, and that's all I ask for. Our pitchers are doing an awesome job of limiting big innings. Right, I think Buffalo, we had bases loaded, nobody out in the first inning. We get out of that with no runs, and and if we do give up 2 runs, it doesn't matter. The pitchers don't get tight, the hitters don't, because they know we're going to come back. And as long as they continue to do that and they don't feel pressed, I think we'll be okay. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is not pressing, regardless of what happens. I think we were tied. We were tied with Louisville. We had the lead. We were down. Then they got the lead, and it went back and forth. And not, I think we hit a home run in the sixth to tie it. We hit a home run in the seventh to tie it, and then we hit a walk off in the seventh. So those little things like that is to never give up, no matter how good like Louisville is. It doesn't matter how good Oklahoma is. I mean, we were down 4 runs in that last inning. So as long as we continue to do that and know that we have a shot every single game.
That's going to be fun to see your team kind of play that out as it goes. Now, I can't leave you without asking you about wrestling. For those that have listened to our previous times you've been on the show, you're a big wrestling fan. We've discussed this. You grew up a big wrestling fan. You're still a wrestling fan. You and I still talk wrestling. One of your favorites was The Rock, who's back.
Yes.
He's now part of the TKO, which we're not going to get into all the minutia behind the scenes stuff that's going on in professional wrestling, because there's some good and bad stuff going on. But nonetheless, The Rock is back. As this interview is going to air, it's going to air right on WrestleMania week, a couple days before WrestleMania. But what is your thoughts on seeing The Rock back in a main program? He's going to main event night 1 of WrestleMania in a tag match with Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, in a match that's going to dictate what the main event of night 2 between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, what are the rules going to be in that match, whether it's a bloodline rules if Roman and Rock wins, or just a straight up match if Rollins and Cody wins. But as someone who grew up going to seeing The Rock, now he's back, are you surprised? Are you like, whoa, what's your reaction to seeing him now?
Oh, I was shocked. Like, I mean, we're texting. I'm like, I got to turn this on right now. I can't wait to watch it on replay. I need to watch it right now. I mean, someone like him that was a huge wrestler beforehand, and now he's mainstream. So he's bringing all these other people, and he's like my favorite. I think I went to go see when he was on Jay Leno, and I was in California. I went to go see him to do that. I think I have a Rock action figure up there. Don't tell anyone that. But no, I'm excited to see him again. And funny thing about Roman Reigns is, like, he went to Georgia Tech. That's where I graduated from. So sorry, I have to go with The Rock and Roman Reigns every single time. I do think it's going to be a bloodline for night 2. So I think it's going to be so much fun.
have you used your ties of Georgia Tech to maybe get to meet Roman Reigns at some point? Because I know he's like well represented in that building at Georgia Tech. I've seen photos
No.
of him. He at one point before the bloodline thing took off, he wore that Wreckham shirt
Yep. Yep.
of Georgia Tech. Is that needs to happen here? You gotta
No,
use your
it
connections.
does. I have not. He'd be one. I've met a few wrestlers. That I'm very like I won't take that away. But if there was one person I would want to meet, would be Roman Reigns. So, no, I haven't had any connections with that yet. I'll have to work on that. But I've seen him wrestle in person.
Who's the most famous wrestler you've met?
Probably Randy Orton. I met Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. Well, okay. So one time when I was working at Western Kentucky, they did a house show in the basketball arena,
Okay.
and I asked Tyra, can I not recruit? Can I go to this?
Tyra Perry, for those that don't know, is now the head coach at Illinois. Go ahead. Yes.
And so I sat and there was a chair in front of the weight room. So I sat in front of the weight room because I had the code to let them in. And I said, well, can I have a picture with you? I could let you in to weight room. Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, uh, uh, Jinder Mahal, The Big Show, Randy Orton. Yeah. So,
That's pretty good.
yep.
That's pretty good.
That's
All
my, that's my, that was, that's one of my favorite days.
I can understand that. I think for me, I think I've interviewed Chris Jericho on the radio.
Oh,
I've interviewed Seth Rollins when he was on the radio. I've interviewed Kane on the radio. Those are some of the notables that I could say.
that's, Chris Jericho would be somebody I would love to meet.
He's a good interviewer. Yeah, obviously he's
Yeah.
an author because I think
Well,
when I had him on, he was promoting a book. So yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, he's one of the best promo guys, so I can't imagine
sure.
what kind of interviewer he is.
All right, so you and I. Here's what we're gonna do here. You and I. I'm gonna read you. We're not gonna go through the entire card because it's too big.
It's too big.
But I'm gonna highlight a few matches. You're gonna make a pick. I'm gonna make a pick. We're gonna see who's right between you and I. All right. We're gonna do a little.
Okay.
All right. So you're picking Roman Reigns and The Rock to beat Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in Night One's main event.
Yeah, I will never go against them.
I'm gonna agree with you because I feel like they're setting this up to be a whole bloodline rule where all chaos, where Cody's got to fight all these odds in Night Two. So
And I don't think it's going to be a clean match on night two.
correct. So it just who wants to see that anyway, right?
No.
Women's title matches. Becky Lynch against the women's champion Rhea Ripley.
I think Lynch wins it.
I'm gonna go Ripley to be different. I think she retains. I think she retains.
Really?
Man, I think she's gonna even get big. She could have a long title reign. That's one thing I've
Okay.
noticed since Triple H has taken over the booking, and this is we're being marks now. They tend to have long title reigns. So I'm gonna go Rhea Ripley. You're gonna go Becky Lynch. That's fine.
I'm going Lynch.
The other women's title match on the SmackDown show, it's Io Sky defending the title against Bayley, who won the Rumble.
Yeah, I'm going with Sky.
You going with I'm going Bayley. So we disagree on the women's matches. I love it. All right.
Yes, so the reason I think Sky has so Bailey's been at the top, right, for so
Sure.
long, but man, Sky's ability, I would want her to have a long reign.
Okay. Okay. A couple more matches. Drew McIntyre going against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. CM Punk, who I'm wearing his shirt as we talk, is apparently going to be one of the commentators. He's injured. He was probably going to be in this main event. Got hurt.
Yep.
But obviously he's been feuding with McIntyre, and he's kind of been feuding with Rollins. McIntyre, Rollins. Who wins?
So I'm gonna go with Rollins because I think that there's gonna be when CM Punk comes back. Now, if Punk interferes, which is very high probability, then McIntyre wins. But I see Rollins winning, so when Punk comes back, it's even bigger.
See, I'm going with the original thought. I think Punk gets involved. Somehow McIntyre takes advantage, wins the title, and off we go with those three in a feud for the summer. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I can see that happening, so
Yes.
I wouldn't put money on this one.
But then obviously the match that everybody wants to know. Main event, night 2, Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes. The question that every wrestling fan wants to know this weekend: will Cody finish the story?
No.
Whoa!
No.
Oh!
I don't know if they're going to allow him to do it.
You're saying Reigns retains for the second year against? Oh,
Yes. I
man!
think there's two reasons why I think that. And this might be like off the scene stuff. I
Sure.
don't know if they want Rhodes to finish it. Like I think that would be like a blow to McMahon
Man, I don't know. That's.
because of AEW and I don't know. I
I
think that
mean, anything's
AEW.
possible. You're right. Boy, to make us wait longer. I mean, it could happen. Could happen. Some people have thrown out
So
that theory about maybe waiting till like you get to Madison Square Garden later in the year on a show, and I don't know that. I'm saying he's finishing the story. This has been like a 2-year build. How many more Royal Rumbles can he win? After all, come on, he's won
yeah,
two.
no, I was surprised he won, but I understand why he won this year. But yeah, I don't think he finishes it. I really don't because I don't think all of us want to see it go longer. I just don't. He's either never going to finish it. I think he's
Wow.
never going to finish it and we're all going to be mad because that's what wrestling storylines do. They piss us off. I don't know why we keep watching sometimes. So, I think people
It's a soap opera. What are you
yeah,
gonna do?
I well exactly. Like people are like, "How do you like wrestling? It's fake." I said, "Well, what's your favorite TV show?" And they go Grey's Anatomy, and I said, "Well, that's fake too."
That's funny. That's
The
funny.
difference is ours is live and it's athletic. There's drama, there's
Yes,
good stuff, there's bad stuff. Sometimes the storylines really suck.
that's true.
And sometimes they're really, really good, and that's what draws you in. So
That's
I'm
wild.
I'm I'm being a pessimist and saying that they're not gonna let us finish this one.
I just think you're a Roman Reigns bloodline apologist. I think you want to be a bloodline with Paul. You're like the wise girl. Paul Heyman's the wise
I
guy.
I won't root against The Rock.
I understand. What happens if Reigns and Rock turn on each other? What do you do then?
Oh, The Rock.
Wow! Sticking with the old guard. I like it. All
Yeah.
right, all right, very good. All
You
right,
never back.
all
Yeah.
right, all
The
right.
Rock.
The Rock all the way. All right, our picks
Yeah.
are now on the record. That's it.
Okay.
We're gonna be one of us is gonna have bragging rights at the end of this Mania show, and one of us is
Yeah,
gonna
because we're
text the
pretty
other.
different.
Very different, a lot more than I expected, but
Yeah.
that's good. That makes it entertaining. All right, that I appreciate you doing. It was good catching up with you.
Yes.
Like I said, we'll look forward to the more success for your team the rest of the way. But thanks for having fun and always coming on the show with us. And thanks for talking to us. We'll definitely be talking soon. But in the meantime, good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, and thank you for everything you do for softball. I mean, it's huge. Like there is such a big platform and there's very few people that put everybody on a platform and you do, and I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.